BeastNet is brought to you by James Safety Services in partnership with OCR Buddy and OCR Strong. Here we discuss all things OCR and fitness related. Welcome to BeastNet.
How you doing?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing okay. Just trying to finally get my mindset to where it should be to get ready for the season. So, because I
Isn't
figured
that
that's what we talk about
everybody?
this time is yeah, just talk about that whole getting out of the winter mindset and into the like, hey, it's time to get, my body ready again to do all this
Yeah.
crap.
Um, I particularly have been really struggling with that lately, like more than normal. Usually I go into my off season, I'm like, yes, I'm not running right now. I'm gonna go and like lift really heavy things.
Mm-hmm.
And that didn't happen. And then my running training kicked back in, and I'm like, I still like I'm not really loving running right now, and I'm not really giving myself the time that I like to lift, and like I just can't find the motivation.
Yeah. Well, what's helped me a little bit, I think, is I found a group out here, and a rock group. So I'll go rocking on the weekends and stuff, but which is good getting me moving. But at the same time, it's like, I'm doing an Ironman in 3 months now.
Right.
So, I mean, it's like, okay, if you're going to finish this, you need to get off your ass and do something. So I've been trying to do my plan right now. My goal is Monday and Wednesdays, I run at least a 5K on my treadmill or whatever, but somehow get a 5K in. And that's also, I've been also using, for Christmas, I got the VR headset
Okay, yeah.
and they have it's called Fit XR, and it's some really good like cardio, like boxing and hit workouts and stuff like that. And I've been doing those, and I have ankle and wrist weights that I've been putting on while I do those, give a little bit more. So kind of throwing a few other random things in there. And then Tuesday, Thursdays, I get on the bike trainer.
Okay.
So, and not doing long distances like 45 minutes or so on there. And then my plan is Saturday and Sunday will be my longer run and my longer bike ride.
Good.
So, and that gives me Friday to just relax,
Right.
and relax in my way, relaxing, but you know what I mean. So, but relaxing and not doing anything. But on top of that, too, is pretty much every day except for I try and hit the gym at lunch at least 3 times a week, if not four, and sometimes it's been all 5 days, and go swimming and swim
Good.
for 20 to 25 minutes because I've gotten the math figured out perfectly where if I leave my office, drive to the gym, change, jump in the water, swim for 20 to 25 minutes, change, drive, shower real quick, change, drive back to work. It's usually right on the hour mark for, that my lunchtime. So, and I make little wraps that I'll eat on the way to and back from the gym. So
Oh,
to get my
perfect.
my fuel in. So I'm finally in my brain got a plan going
Good.
to
And
to,
how are you tracking it?
tracking. That's my other part that I'm not good at. I just kind of keep track that this is what I have in my brain what I do Monday, Tuesday, each day of the week and just making sure that I do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would
And I
get
mean,
a
I track it on my
notebook.
Strava. Well, I do have, that's not completely true. I do have an Excel spreadsheet that I've actually been keeping since 2020 that by month, how much I've ran each day, swam or biked, and then
Okay.
and totals for the month and gives me totals of how much I do. And I have my goals in there of how much I want to hit. And the one that I've been missing almost every month has been the bike.
Okay. Do
So
you document anything about how you're feeling, what went well, what went
no,
wrong,
and
what
that's
you're
what I
doing
need to
for
do.
fueling,
Yes.
how your sleep was, your, recovery, any kind of mindful training, anything like
No,
that?
and that's what I need to start working on more. So it's been more of just like because I think it just kind of comes with the kind of person I am. I'm a numbers, you know. So I'll look at the numbers, go through all that stuff and the data, and I keep forgetting that, what I ate, how I feel, all of that stuff is also part of the data, and I need to put that in there and figure out, if I'm pushing too hard, like are my legs having too much of an issue coming from one to the other, stuff like that. And I'm not. I'm just like, okay, I did this much.
Okay, but do you also track what pacing you're doing, what your heart rate was at, where your perceived level of exertion was? So how do you know if your 5K run is getting better? You might be running it in a little faster pace, but your heart rate might be wicked jacked up,
Mhm.
or you might be feeling like you're dying compared to another day. I mean, where
Yeah.
is that tracking?
It's not there. And like I said, that's the next step that I need to get to. So I've gotten to the point where I'm tracking the amount, but like you said, I need to track how is it making me feel. Like I do know with the swim, I do feel better on the swim. I need to get better at the tracking of everything else. Like I said, I do know in the swim I am feeling better about it. I mean, I did, what was it? Tuesday, I think. I basically took an extra long lunch. I took an extra 15 minutes and I swam till I hit what 1,800 meters, which was
Okay.
30, took me 35 minutes to hit 1,800 meters, which to me feels really good. And I wasn't gassed at the end of it.
Okay.
And that's kind of been the thing too, is I do mentally think about, okay, I got through this and I'm not gassed, because I know that has been a big problem when I've done triathlons in the past. I've swam, I come out of the water and I am gassed and just wrecked. And it's like, okay, now you got to get on the bike and go ride. And that's what I'm trying to make sure with the swimming. And like I said, trying to do it as much as I do to get to that point where I can walk out of the water, and not be like trying to catch my breath and completely gas before I even touch the bike. Because the bike's pretty much to make it or break it. Because as long as you make the time hack on the swim, the bike is the longest time. You're in the seat for longer than you're doing anything else. So it's kind of
Mm-hmm.
like if you don't, and that's where I failed the last two times is on the bike.
Okay.
So I need to make sure when I get out of the water, I'm not. Because well, technically I failed three triathlons. One of the triathlons I failed was because of that. I came out of the water so gassed that I couldn't get going on the bike. By the time I got going on the bike, I ran out of time. So, and that was kind of the problem that I ran into, is I came out of the water so gassed. So you don't think of all of that until you get into, and that's one of the other things I'm trying to find a smaller triathlon before the Ironman,
Mm-hmm.
just so I can get in the water again and see where I'm at.
You're not doing brick training?
Well, I am, but I mean, just the event training is, or
Okay.
when you're doing an event, it's just
Yeah.
that little bit of different. Because that's one of my biggest problems, my breathing. If my breathing goes out, and a lot of times I think I run into problems, is the anxiety will throw my breathing off even more. And if I can get through one, another one, I've done multiple triathlons, but if I get through a month or so before the event, then I think it might hopefully calm me beforehand.
Okay. I would say get yourself a notebook, because one thing I stress to all of my clients is I don't want you having any surprises on race day. So every little thing that they do, I want all of the notes. I don't just want this felt great or God, this sucked. I had XYZ for breakfast and I ate this right before. I took, this thing out with me. Right around this point, I felt, this muscle, or this is what was happening with my breathing. I tested out, this gear or this fueling, and coming off of the run, I was feeling this. I had to stretch this or do this. And I want a full breakdown of what's going on when, as much as they can, of course.
Mhm.
And, all of the fueling, the gear, their rest recovery, everything that could go into that specific run or bike or whatever else, that lift. So then we can go in and say, okay, what did you learn from this workout and how are you going to apply this to this next race? So then come say world's toughest mudder. They know exactly what they need to eat on which specific lap and what they could potentially feel and how to manage their body
Mhm.
accordingly. And it all goes into, okay, let's go back to your last extra long run and see what you were feeling when you were feeling it and what you did and then how we can apply it to the next one.
Yeah, which makes perfect sense.
Yeah. And I mean, if you're running, say, a 5K once, twice a week, yeah, doing it right now, you might see some great results. But in a month or two, if you're still only running a 5K on a Monday, you could plateau. But if you're not going back and comparing, you know, a Monday in March to a Monday in February, how do you know if you're plateauing?
Yeah, true.
So, take a look at all of the data. Look at your pacing, your heart rate, your exertion levels. It's also a great way to figure out when you need to be switching out your gear or what fueling is working or not working and
Yeah.
everything
Because I know,
else.
I mean, at least, I mean, I have the Garmin, so if I could go back and look at the heart rate and all that stuff. I have been working on interval a little bit when I'm running, um, just to kind of get my pace back up to where it should be. I'll run 2 minutes, kind of give myself a jog, quick walk for a minute, and then run again for 2 minutes. And when I have my headphones on, I have my phone, a pacer on my phone that tells me, hey, you know, go, slow down, just to get me back into that, because when I trained before, that's how I did it. I did the interval to get me up to where, but I did it differently because I was running the same track constantly. I
Okay,
picked certain spots on the track where I was
right,
like, okay, when I hit this spot, I'm gonna run. But then I would just run as long as I could and then say, okay, when I hit this spot, I start running again. And eventually it came down to where I was passing the next spot while I was still running. So it was just, and then, all of a sudden, you know, my
hmm,
times were picking up a lot. And I think that's the big problem I'm running into is I was a lot more structured then. And I'm just now getting into, okay, I'm structuring the day. Now it's the, like you're talking, to go that next step, structure even more so I can make sure that I'm getting, like I said, I got 3 months to get ready. I should have
right,
really been doing this like 2 months ago, probably 3 months ago. But yeah,
right. So, like, ultimately decide which days you're going to do what. Maybe when you're doing your intervals, okay, my timed intervals are going to slowly increase in time and I want to hold this pace or I want to hold this heart rate and not just, okay, run until I can't run anymore and then take a minute off and run until I can't run anymore. But
yep,
instead, okay, I am going for 5 minutes, run, see how far I get in that 5 minutes, see where my heart rate is at. And then maybe the next time you run for 5 minutes, be like, wow, I feel a lot better running in these 5 minutes. So maybe I can up this to a 6 minute interval or so on and so forth.
yeah. So that's kind of what I've been working on a little bit is the intervals, is the 2 minutes, you know, and trying to figure out where I want that heart rate to be for those 2 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, 140 to 150 is kind of where I've been hitting,
What
but
zone
I
is
didn't
that
want.
for you?
Oh, 3.
Okay. I'd say zone 3 is like that gray area you never want to hit.
Yeah.
Either go above it or stay below it. Don't zone. So you have a Garmin. You've
Hmm.
looked at how Garmin sets up like their high aerobic, low aerobic, and anaerobic. Zone 3 is high aerobic, but it's low in the high aerobic aspect. If you're going high aerobic, you want to go high aerobic.
Yeah.
If you're it's dumping into your high aerobic bucket without doing any really substantial work in your high aerobic bucket, and it's not filling your low aerobic bucket. So you could potentially end up overtraining if you're staying in a low high aerobic because your body is like getting used to staying in that low high aerobic versus learning how to like push its threshold, push its pace, and hold like a little bit more of an uncomfortable pace.
Yeah.
So I would say
Which is,
zone 4 and zone 2 are your sweet spots. And then if you're going to do sprint work or hill work, go to zone 5.
yeah. Yeah, and that's one thing I've had trouble with for me sometimes is the fact that I have like with my breathing, usually coming out of zone three, and that's just something I need to work on. Coming out of zone three is my breathing starts to go.
Yep.
And that's where I run into problems. As soon as my breathing, because of the asthma, as soon as my breathing starts to go, it's like, okay, you know, getting it back sometimes can be tough. And it's just something I need to work on. And that was one of the biggest things. And I feel that I've lost over the last, couple years where I haven't been pushing as hard as I was. I lost that lung strength and the lung control that I had gained from being able to run because I could control that running. I could run at a 9-minute pace and keep my breathing right where I needed it. And now if I go, you know, try going for that, my heart rate doesn't usually, it might jump up to 3, but if it hits 4 or 5, then all of a sudden my lungs are just like done. And that's what I need to work on is that control of the lung, get my lung control back. Because if you can't breathe, you're not doing anything.
Right. What do you do to bring your heart or to pull your breathing back in?
Um, Usually try to slow down the pace a little bit and work on like focus on breathing in and breathing out and not let the anxiety get to me because that's the other problem. Once the breathing starts to go, if I let the anxiety start taking over, now it becomes a whole mental and physical thing at the same time. So if I can keep myself calm and just focus on my breathing, but the problem I got to do is I got to remember how to focus on my breathing without stopping. And that's what I'm getting into now is I'll drop way down, and try and focus on my breathing. And by the time I get my breathing under control, my heart rate's dropped down to like 100.
Right.
And, I've got to keep the heart rate going, but get the breathing under control.
Have you tried just giving yourself a really deep exhale?
Yeah.
How does that feel?
I mean, it feels good. I mean, it
Okay.
does. It feels good and it gives me starts to give control, but that it's the hardest part sometimes. Sometimes it's getting and keeping
Okay.
the control.
How much time are you spending in zone 2?
Um, I don't know that for sure. I would have to like really, I'm sure because my Garmin keeps control all that,
Yep.
saves all that, I can go through and look at it.
If you were to open up your Garmin right now and take a look at what your training status is at, can I ask what it is at?
Yes. That's what I was actually trying to log in on my computer with the while we were talking into my Garmin. And yeah. Wow. It tells me congratulations on my new Forerunner that I've had for a year and a half.
That means you are not logging in all that often.
Well, I log in on my phone. I
Okay, yeah.
very rarely log in on my computer, so it's
Yep.
always on my phone. So let's see. Wow, there's a lot the on here. Sorry. I'm like, wow, that's a whole bunch of stuff. Well, let me see the fitness. Um, I'm not seeing where it's at on the computer. Let's see if I check my phone. I try not to have my phone too close to me because sometimes it makes the computer do weird things.
Right.
And, like makes funny noises. I know I just saw it on my phone like earlier. So let's see the fitness level.
Do you have a training status?
Health stats. Trying to think. I've seen it before. I'm just not sure where to find it.
I could tell you where
There it
it
is.
is for the Phoenix, but I don't know about your Garmin Connect.
It says no. I don't know why. Huh.
It doesn't have a training status?
Oh, it's got to be with the VO2 max training, which I don't know how to do that. With VO2 max data, which I don't know why. Mine doesn't tell me that.
That's very interesting.
Because normally it tells me, okay, 7-day load, it gives me optimal. On my 7-day load, training load, it gives me 71,
Right.
a score of 71, which is optimal.
Okay.
That's what it gives me for the 7-day training load for this last couple weeks.
Does it
Last
give
week
you
I
a
was
load focus?
like I said, the training status, I don't know why it's not giving me a training status.
That's very interesting. So, and I mean, obviously, Garmin isn't perfect. Right here, perfect example. Garmin's
Yeah.
not perfect, but even with that, isn't ever going to be completely perfect, particularly dealing with like heart rate, VO2 max, HRV, all that kind of stuff. But it does track trends pretty well.
Hmm.
So if it says you're, overtraining or overreaching or you're unproductive, that's a pretty big indicator that like you're doing something a little too hard, like harder than you need to. And then it can tell you if you have like a shortage in high aerobic or low aerobic or anaerobic or whatever else. But of course, it depends on which Garmin you have. Mine is like constantly telling me I have an anaerobic shortage, but that's because like my heart rate monitor hasn't been connecting or died or you
Yeah.
know my intervals just aren't hitting where they need to. Um it's reading as like a high aerobic because I'm getting like into zone 5 and then coming right back down and my heart rate's recovering a little bit because I'm still getting over being sick or getting over like the off season and my heart rate still needs to accommodate all of that. So again, not perfect, but it can give you a pretty good idea of, I need to spend a little bit more time at low aerobic versus high aerobic.
Yeah. And see, actually looking at it, it does show that it has different points, but it seems what it is if I'm not doing activities outside, it doesn't count it.
Really?
Yeah. So it counts when I was running, like when I was in Palm Springs, it counted as productive because I was running outside every day. But I've been doing all of my either on a treadmill or my trainer inside. So it's not counting those
That's very surprising.
towards the training, which I don't know why, but
Right. I
hmm,
mean, I was sick last week, so I ran the last two runs on the treadmill, partially because Boston weather has been absolutely horrific for the last 6 months.
yeah.
And I didn't feel like, turning around and getting sick all over again. Um, and it's still counting all of my runs on a treadmill. So that's very
Yeah.
surprising. Have you contacted Garmin about it?
No, because I've never actually noticed. I've never actually really looked at that. So
You know what this conversation is already telling me about
that I
you?
don't pay enough attention to the details.
Yes.
Yeah, that's me.
I think you should get a notebook.
Yeah, I think you're right. I need to get a notebook.
Yeah, or put a training log like on the wall or something that's like constantly in your face.
Yeah.
Venga CBD has a wonderful training log you can download and like put on your wall, and it's like a yearly training calendar.
I have a notebook that's supposed to be a training notebook that I bought for that purpose that I is sitting in my gym
Okay, so
next to the treadmill that I probably should start writing in.
you need something more in your face.
Yeah, no. Yeah, so yeah, I'm looking at some of the stuff on the reports on here, and yeah, it gives me my activities and all that, which all look great. But other than that, it's yeah, I need to work on paying attention to pace, heart rate, all that kind of stuff more than I have been.
Okay.
So yeah, interesting. Like I said, I've never been one of those for details like that. It's pretty much I've always been a results type person. I know that's been one of the tough parts for me too, because like for my doctors, um, they've got me kind of on a diet and not really a diet, but paying more attention to what I'm eating and what I'm doing and all that stuff. So I have to weigh myself every morning. I freaking hate that.
That's
Because
terrible.
it is. I hate weighing myself every morning, and I've talked to other people about this because the problem you run into, you jump so much
Yeah. Your
from
body
day to day.
fluctuates like
Yeah.
5.5 pounds a day.
Yeah, and mine does a lot depending on, I mean, if I had any alcoholic beverages the night before, I'm going to be higher than normal.
Yep.
It's going to make me higher. If I eat something with a lot of salt, I'm going to be higher, and it really depends on a lot of things. And I think that's the hardest part for me sometimes. And one of the reasons, like when I lost weight, in 2020, I weighed myself pretty much weekly.
Hmm.
And that was even rough. But it was because a lot of the stuff I was doing, it was a weekly weigh-in for a lot of the like challenges and stuff I was doing. Um, because the daily weigh-in just it kills me,
Hmm.
because it's like you get up and all of a sudden it's like, hey, I'm down 6 pounds, and then all of a sudden the next day, hey, I'm back up 5.
Right.
and you get those, it's very hard and very mentally breaks you. So I've always been one of those ones that, and it, for working out, it doesn't work as well because if you're not paying attention to what's happening each time, you don't know how to adjust and fix and make it better. For me, it's just like, hey, yeah, I felt good on that one. Let's do it again tomorrow.
Hmm.
Yeah. It's partly when I lost weight, why all of a sudden when I went to go do a Spartan race, I could barely lift anything because all I was doing was running and I was doing cardio. And all of a sudden it's like, okay, go lift an Atlas ball. And you're like, I've never had a problem with this. And you're like, oh, yeah, I haven't been lifting.
Right.
Yeah.
I can feel a total difference in myself when I'm strictly running, strictly lifting, or like doing both. And I know that I need to do both, but I feel best 100% when I'm lifting.
Mhm. Yeah. And see, I'm the opposite. I feel best when I'm running.
Okay.
So, and that's been why I've been trying to get, because that's the other thing I need to do is I need to start working more of the lifting back in. I have
Okay.
all the stuff out in the garage to do it. I just need to get it, like, start doing more of that kind of stuff. And I think what helped me with before was is I had a bunch of insane challenges that had a bunch of lifting involved in them. So, go
Okay.
run 2 miles and then come back and lift a bunch of heavy weight, you know, whatever. But it was a lot of that. So it was kind of like I mixed them
Right.
and I need to get that part of my brain back going again. And it's one of those things, like I said, I should have been doing this 3 months ago, but we both know how I work, not in the smartest way.
Hey, right now I'm kind of in that exact same place. I'm like, I need to get going. Get your ass in gear. Just go.
And it's tough. And it's one of those things I think what makes it really tough too sometimes is like when you've had that success and then things go bad. And then you start feeling even worse because it's like, okay, all these people, talk about how inspirational I was when I lost this weight and I did all this stuff. And now all of a sudden I'm letting them down.
Right.
And then you start going down the mental hole. And it's like, okay, now I'm getting into that vicious cycle and I need to get out of it and just do my thing.
Right. Well, for me, it's in part saying, what the hell is Spartan doing? What the hell is Tough Mudder doing? And having less motivation to get out there.
Hmm.
And it's like, you know, my race schedule isn't fully set because I'm not really motivated by the races that they have on the calendar. And we're not seeing as many local races. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm training for,
Yeah,
even though I know I'm training for the Holy Grail, but like, I'm just so uninspired after World's Toughest Mudder. And it's like, I'm not doing this because of a race. I'm doing this because of me. The race is going to come because I have been training for me, not because I've been training for the race.
yeah,
And I just need to get myself in that kind of mindset. But also, I've like exploded with work. And when you work in fitness, you don't work a basic 9 to 5, you work 5 a.m. to 11 a.m. And then you have 4 hours off. And then you come back and you work until 8 p.m. And it's like, okay, I have a break from noon till 3. I can go home and walk my dog and eat, or I can work out. And it's like, how do
yeah.
I manage my time there? And, do I have the energy to do all of this in one? And it's just a lot and it's mentally and physically exhausting.
It is. I can imagine. It's like one of the things, it's the joke you hear all the time about how mechanics always have like the worst car. Because the
Yeah.
last thing you want to do after you worked on someone else's car is come home and work on your own.
Yeah.
And I think that's where, people like you that are trainers, it becomes rough that, you know, you need to have, because it sounds bad, but people don't want to listen to a trainer who's not in shape. So you have to like keep it up. But at the same time, it's like I've just spent 4 hours training people, have a 3 hour break, and then I have to spend another 4 to 6 hours training people again. I don't want to train in between.
Right. The best piece of advice I ever got, and it's actually from now the owner of the studio that I work at, but we used to work together at Equinox first. And he said, your body is your billboard. So I don't look at my workout time as this is my workout time. And this is still part of my work.
Yeah.
I am reserved from this time to this time, and then I have to go home after to eat, walk tight, and whatever else. Or I got to the point this past week where I said, okay, I need to start hiring a dog walker. I need to start hiring somebody to come in and clean my house, maybe at least once a month, just because I know Monday through Thursday I am booked nonstop. I cannot dedicate this time to get home in the middle of the day if I expect to run and lift and then come back. I can just stay at the studio all day, have somebody come walk Titan, and then when I come home at night, let him out. And then I am reserving my Fridays to finish up by like 8, 9 a.m. And then I start my weekend.
Yeah.
So I know I can get almost 3 full days off because I am killing myself the rest of the week.
Mm-hmm.
And I need to stay really regimented, and my workouts are part of my work. I need to stay at the studio when I am not with clients. So then I am getting my computer work done. I'm getting my workouts done. I can't allow myself that little bit of reprieve to come home, even if it is because I need to walk my dog, which I love my dog more than life itself. But the second I come home, I sit down and then I'm not even walking my dog because I'm like, oh, I can take a quick nap
Mm-hmm.
or I can, watch TV or whatever else. And it's like, no, I need to stay on until I fall into that schedule well enough and I'm feeling mentally and physically better.
Yeah.
And now I don't have to worry about if I come home in the middle of the day, am I going to get lazy?
And I think that's the hardest part is, for me, that's one of the biggest things is one of the reasons why I had to set days because I would be that same way. I'll come home and it's like, hey, I think I'm gonna run tonight. And when I get home, you sit down, you relax, you do whatever, and it's like, I don't want to get back up. I don't want to go do that now. And that's why I think I had to say, okay, these days I'm doing
Hmm.
this. Because then when it's in a schedule, it's like, okay, this is scheduled. I need to do it. It's, I'm not pushing it tomorrow because tomorrow I've got something else I got to do. And if I push it tomorrow, then I got to push that day, and then all of a sudden it's just, it's all out of whack. And for me, a schedule, and that's one of the reasons why I decided just to say, okay, this is it. Because when I have a schedule, then it's completely different in my brain.
Right.
Like now it's there. Yeah, it's a tough one sometimes. And I think that's one of the things, to balance the life, workout, to balance it all. And it
Yeah.
becomes tough.
And it all falls into, you have to set your schedule, whether it's plan out what you're going to do when you're going to do it on the schedule, set aside time to meal prep. So, when you come home at night,
Hmm.
you're not saying, oh, well, I don't have the energy to make dinner. It's, oh, well, let me just quickly grab dinner out of the fridge, throw it in the microwave. And, I'm going to go change or whatever else, take a shower while it's warming up, come out, eat, and on to the next thing.
Yeah.
And, we got to plan out our sleep schedule, our recovery. Every single thing should be on a schedule, which it sounds so incredibly boring and regimented. But until we have that motivation and that discipline back, we have to hold ourselves
Mhm.
accountable.
Yeah. Because that was the thing is what helped me was once I got the discipline, then it was just not second nature. I mean, if I didn't go run, I didn't feel right. So I would have to go run, and that was just in my, and every weekend I would do at least one long run, maybe two, and I had it was regimented in my brain. This is what I do. But then once, I had a couple injuries and had to step back a little bit, I got out of that.
Hmm.
And it's so easy to fall back out and so hard to get back into that regimen.
It's so hard.
Yeah.
And the second your mind wanders or you like lose that motivation, you're kind of screwed. You have to be able to pull yourself back out of
Hmm.
that because like even having a close group of friends who's like, come on, come on, come on. It's still up to you to get up and move. I have one friend who, we've historically always ran together, and he decided he couldn't run World's Toughest Mudder last year. And suddenly I didn't hear from him for like 6 months. And, I would ask if he wanted to come running and he'd make excuses. And I think he just kind of had a little bit of resentment because of how he had to make the decision not to run World's Toughest Mudder. And every time we would talk, I would say, listen, I can't force you to come out and run. I'll invite you, but if you oversleep, you oversleep. I can't wait for you. And if you say no, I'm not going to beg you. Like if
Yeah.
if you don't want to race anymore, I'm not going to sit here and beg you. Only you can decide if this is still right for you. You're always invited to come out with me, but at the end of the day, it's up to you. And he'll say, oh no, you have to kick my ass. Tell me I need to go. And I said, no, I can't do that because I don't at any point in time want you to resent me for saying, oh, well, I couldn't do XYZ because I had to go run with you or whatever else. And it's
Yeah.
like, only you can hold yourself accountable, no matter how much you say, I have family, friends, whoever else that will hold me accountable. Hell, even as a coach, it's not my job to hold my clients accountable for what they're doing. I put the training on their calendar. I'm not there screaming in their ear to get them out of bed in the morning. I'm not, slapping things out of their hands when they're trying to put it in their mouth. I am not, doing anything to tell them, go run, go lift, whatever else. I don't have the time nor the patience to
No.
kind of baby somebody like that. If you don't have the motivation and the discipline, that's on you. I will give you everything you need to get you to where you're going. But it's all right there laid out for you. You have to get up, you have to get moving.
Yeah. That was a big thing I think when I lost the weight, in 2020 was I was always waiting for somebody to say, "Hey, let's go work out. Let's go for a run." And then finally I'm like, if I wait for somebody forever, it's never going to happen.
Exactly.
So I just started doing it myself, and I got so used to just going to do it myself. I had friends all the time like, why don't you ever invite me? I'm like, because when I have you, don't show up. So I'm never, if I invite you and you're not there, then I feel whatever. And it just finally got to a point. It's like, okay, I'm running at this time, or I'm going to go do a workout at this time. If you want to show up, show up. If not, whatever. But this is when I'll be there. And that's me and my good friend Brian, who, I called my stepper brother. We did a lot of workouts that way, but we told everyone, hey, we're going to be at this park at this time. We got extra weights if you want to use them. This is the workout we're doing. You want to show up, show up. If not, that will be there.
So I actually went on a rant probably either last week or the week before. Because again, my schedule is like exploding right now.
Mhm.
And like I I will say, like, I am great at my job. I am really
Yes.
good at in-person training and finding, the biomechanics stuff that people need to work on. I will get you results. You just have to listen to me. But I'm getting so busy now that I'm really setting boundaries. So I said, my Friday, I'm going to be done in the morning, and then I have the rest of the day and all of the weekend. Somebody contacted me and they said, hey, I have a potential client for you. They're looking to lose weight. Can I connect you with them? I said, yeah, sure. So I connected with them, and the person said, well, I can only come in after 5:30. I said, oh, I am booked solid Monday through Thursday at that time, said. And in my head, I'm like, I don't really do much in terms of weight loss. And it's not to say that I don't help people lose weight, but people that come in and say, I want to lose weight, I genuinely or generally don't work with them.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why. So I was like, I've set this boundary, but okay, I will meet with you on Friday at 4:30. I had it scheduled, and the person came back and they said, okay, well, can you tell me your rate? And do you train at any other studios? I said, I can come to your house if you would like, and it's going to cost the same amount as the studio because I have to pay a portion to the studio fee, but otherwise I have stuff in my truck and, gas and travel, whatever. It's
Mhm.
comparable to what the studio fee would be. So I told her my rate, which is a very reasonable rate for the city of Boston, factoring in studio rent and everything else. And she comes back and said, "Ooh, yeah, that's too expensive for me. I can't do that." And it got me thinking, it's like, this is why I don't really train people who come in and say, "I want to lose weight." They don't really put the money into healthy lifestyle choices as much as they probably should. They're very hesitant, and then they want immediate results. And as we all know, it's not about dropping weight quick. It's about
Yeah.
dropping weight safely and building healthy habits. So typically, the people that do come on, they're like, "Oh, well, I just want to train one time a week because I can't really afford this. And, I expect, measurements every week or every 2 weeks. And, I bet I want to try it for just 6, 10 weeks and see what my results are." And it's like, if you're coming in once a week, right now, I don't really have faith that you're going to do a lot of stuff on your own. And to expect substantial results in 10 weeks off of not having done a lot of things, that's drastic. We need to make some serious changes first, like fix your body before you really start seeing it all come on.
Yeah.
So um, I just went on this whole long rant. I said, "Listen, I help people lose weight. People who come to me, yes, they are very capable of losing weight, but I want people that come in with a reframed way of thinking, saying, I want to feel better. I want to move better. I want to live a healthier lifestyle. I want my clothes to fit better." They know that there is going to be more to this than I just want to lose weight.
Yeah.
And so my recommendation for any single person who is sitting there saying, "How dare you not want to train anybody who's losing weight, whatever else?" Because again, I am not the type of coach that is going to sit and hold your hand. I am more of an educator. I want to teach you
Mhm.
how to change your lifestyle and how to change your body so you feel confident and comfortable doing this stuff on your own. So I'm going to give you homework. Just like any other teacher, we are not calling to your house asking your parents if you're doing your homework. Either you do it or you don't. You're
Yeah.
going to come back to me and I'm going to say, "Hey, why didn't you do your homework?" So if you are looking for that weight loss, instead of hiring a one-on-one trainer, go a little bit more of an affordable route. Get a small group training, not group classes, but small group training where you have the accountability of a group. You have a coach that is walking around looking at you, teaching you, instructing you without constantly like honing down or bearing down on you as you're doing every single thing, because most people want that accountability more than they want that one-on-one attention. They just need to start moving and they need people that are going to
Mhm.
teach that are going to hold them accountable to show up to their classes.
Yeah. And that was one thing for me. Like when I lost that, a lot of people forget too. They think, oh, if I just go to the gym and go to a coach 2 or 3 times a week, I'm gonna suddenly start losing weight. Never fully understood diet. And that's one of those things that I didn't get until I started really losing weight. And everyone's like, how did it work? I'm like, I started working out and then I started paying attention to what I was eating.
You can't out train a bad diet. It's so cliche, but it's true. Like, as soon as I moved to Boston 10 years ago, I did not know a single thing about how the buses worked. I I did not know it, but I lived right on the bus from my apartment and dropped off at the gym that I worked at. But instead I was like, "Oh, well, I know that I'm near the red line, so I'm just going to walk the 3/4 mile to the red line." And I was doing that 6 times, going there and back 3 times a day. And I dropped something like 10 pounds just from the walking back and forth from the tee, plus walking around the gym and training people and training myself. And then as soon as my body figured out what I was doing and like learned my schedule, I put that weight right back on because your body plateaus and it stabilizes. It wasn't until, I figured out more of my diet and changed up my workouts to match what I wanted to do, that I could finally get my body in that healthy place where I wanted to. And now, even now, when I was going into World's Toughest Mudder this past year, I cut out caffeine and I cut out added sugars for 2 weeks before. My heart rate, my active heart rate dropped like probably 5 to 10 beats per minute during my different zones, and my pacing shot up. And I was just feeling better. My body was looking better. I had dropped like water weight, and I was just in a much better place because I cut out those little bits of things for 2 weeks before the race. Of course, then, the off season comes and it's holidays and whatever else. And now it's like, I can't even imagine trying to cut out some of this stuff right now. I know I need to, but if I don't have the motivation to work out, why would I have the motivation to, you know, cut out coffee? Like what?
Yeah. Yeah, who can stop coffee? Who?
I know. I'm
I
so
can't say much.
addicted
That's
right
one thing
now.
I've been thinking about cutting back on my coffee. Because I'll be honest, I drink an entire pot of coffee a day by myself.
I'm going to be honest. I am the exact opposite of your thinking because now that I have a client at 5 a.m., I have to wake up at 3:45, and then I have 5 clients back to back. And anybody who trains anybody knows, like, you should probably take a break after 4 clients straight. But I'm like, meh, what's a fifth client? And then I'm
Yeah,
like, meh, what's a sixth client? But
I know.
I get to my 7 a.m. client, and I usually drink tea first thing in the morning because my tea tastes, or my collagen tastes better in my tea. And I want something hot, and I don't like hot coffee. So I'm like, I'm just going to drink tea in the morning. And then 7 a.m. rolls around and I'm a zombie. And I'm like, why am I dying right now? And then I drink cold brew and instantly I'm alive and can't even nap during the day. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I really should just drink coffee first thing in the morning.
Yeah, see, I start my day with a cup and then a thermos. In between the two, they hold a full 12 pot of coffee plus my protein shake is done. I dump it in my coffee as that's my sweetener for my coffee is my protein shake. So I dump it in the coffee. So that way, because before it was always, I'd use sugar and cream and everything else. And I
Yeah.
figured out if I just take my protein shake, it gives it, makes it
Yeah.
taste just as good. So yeah, I'll just dump my protein shake in there. And that's what I'll drink until noon. About noonish, it'll be gone. And then I switch to water with either IV, liquid IV or noon in it.
Wow.
And that's what I drink the rest of the day normally. Yeah. But like I said, the hard part was the diet. Once I'm now, and that's what I'm focusing on now again. At least the one thing that me and my wife haven't done, we have not gone back to the fast food.
Good.
We because before it was fast food all the time, and we very rarely. I think I've had what in the last probably 2 months, I maybe had fast food twice.
Oh, wow. That's good.
But I mean, we did have Cracker Barrel, which is kind of not really fast food, but whatever. But I
Yeah.
did have that last weekend. But so I mean, we haven't been having eating out. We eat healthy. We've actually started even getting the whatever the delivery meals that you can make.
Okay. Yeah.
So trying to eat healthy again and get back into that, keeping track. And one thing I found for me, if I'm eating the right things, I actually eat more than I used to.
Okay.
So like for me on my diet this week anyway has pretty much been my coffee in the morning. That's pretty much my breakfast. About 3 hours in, I'll have a banana or two, and then I'll have an orange, something like that, and then I'll have my two wraps for lunch, which
Hmm.
is just a tortilla shell, a tortilla with cheese and lunch meat. That's it.
Okay.
And only 3 slices of lunch meat and 1 slice of cheese. I like count it because if it gets any more than that, it starts to get bad. But and then either pineapple on my drive home, and maybe like a hard-boiled egg, and then whatever we have for dinner.
Okay, good.
So I try and keep smaller portions throughout the day just to keep my body,
Hmm.
going. And that's one thing that I found. I mean, when I was younger, I used to do it was just dinner. I didn't eat breakfast. I didn't eat lunch. All I ever did was ate dinner, one meal a day. But when I would eat dinner, it was like four helpings,
Right.
but I put my body in a starvation mode constantly
Yep.
every day. And I found once I started actually eating, I started eating even more, but breaking it down through small meals throughout the day, my body burns it. And if I'm
Yep.
running and I'm doing active activities, I'll burn through it, and I feel better, 100 times
Good.
better. So I've been working on the diet, you know, getting back into moving more again and getting the exercise back in. I mean, I hit 10,000 steps every day. I don't think I've missed 10,000 steps since September, but like you said, your body gets used to it. I mean,
Yeah.
I walk every day at work. I'm constantly walking the floor. I'm constantly doing stuff. Usually by the time I get off work, I'm already at 8,000 steps just from walking around the floor. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Good. Yeah. I'd say just get something where you can keep logging everything that you're doing. You know, keep a log of all your strength workouts, write down how everything is going, what's feeling good, you want to, what you need to improve upon, what you need to increase weight on or increase time on or whatever else. And always reference that so you're constantly moving ahead. Because
Hmm.
I promise you, like, yeah, you might remember what you did last week, but if you miss a week, how are you supposed to remember what you did 2, 3, 4 weeks ago?
Yeah.
And especially if your Garmin isn't tracking it or if you can't put some specific stuff in there, you're just kind of going off of memory and you're not always going to remember everything.
No. Yeah. It's very true. So I definitely need to start doc documenting more. I have, like I said, I have the book. I can do it. I have a book that I got specifically for that, and then it just sits
Hmm.
there, and yeah, I don't use it.
Yeah, you need to use that and you need to start making, um, developing more of like race planning where you can keep track of your gear, your fuel, when you expect to feel specific aches, pains, when you need to stretch certain things, or when you can push a little bit more, or when you need to be eating specific food or
And that's the
drinking
hard one
specific
again,
things.
because the hard part is this is the one thing I found triathlon that's so tough. Me, I normally don't eat before a race anyway, but I've been
Hmm.
finding more and more it's the bad way to do it because like the other day I ate like just randomly for lunch. I had leftover spaghetti, but it was a lot. And then I went and ran afterwards, and I like felt great
Yeah.
actually, because I had that fuel.
Yep.
Um, but the problem I run into with triathlon, I don't like to swim that way.
Okay.
So it's like
So
when I go to swim, I don't like to have a full stomach. It makes me feel bleh. But
could you do the swim on like a gel or a goo or
yeah,
like a waffle?
and that's it. That's what I got to figure out. How can I do that? And then, like my friend Jamie, she's training for the full iron,
Yep.
which is like 3 weeks after my half. And she's been trying to figure out ways to eat on the
Right.
bike, you
Right.
know. And there's some very interesting ways people do that.
Yeah.
Like they tape the goos to the frame in a way
Mhm.
that they can grab it and tear it open
Wow.
because it's taped to the frame.
Yeah.
And it's like, huh, I never thought about that. But yeah, they have all these ways of doing it to try and eat
Yeah.
while you're riding down that. And I never thought of it because especially on a pole, I mean, you're doing 112 miles.
Yeah.
That's a lot of biking.
Yeah. I would be getting all of the like high carb, high cal hydration mixes,
Hmm.
throwing in all the BCAAs and, you know, gels galore.
Yeah. I mean, I thought 56 miles was bad. I don't know. I'm not ready for 112.
Yeah.
But yeah. But so yeah, she's training for that one. So that's going to be interesting for her. But it's, yeah, definitely you see the way people do things. The big one that I have is the way people go to the bathroom. I'm never going to do that.
I
Sorry.
don't even want to know. Put it
No,
in your
never.
notebook.
Yeah. I'll get off the
Start
bike and go
testing
pee on a
all of
tree.
that stuff
Yeah.
and write it down.
I'll get off the bike and pee on a tree. I ain't. No. No. Yeah. Right on.
Awesome.
All right. Well, we're getting close to that hour mark. So is there anything
Okay.
else you wanted to tell the listeners? I think this was a really good episode talking
I
about
think
like
this was a good episode. Honestly, I had no idea what we were going to talk about
I
coming
didn't either.
in. And I was kind of just like, blah, I don't know that I want to talk about a lot of things. So I think this worked out really well.
It did just the prep, getting ready for the
Yeah.
season,
I
getting out of the
hope,
blahs.
yeah, I hope this just sparked me to get out of the blahs because I didn't run last week because I was sick. So like even looking over my Garmin data, I'm like, yeah, I really need to do like 8 miles tomorrow, another maybe 6, 5 on Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You better get out there and get going.
yeah, definitely. We'll see.
Yeah. So, well, it's always, as always, great to talk to you. So,
Definitely. We should do this more often and
yes,
a little sooner than
yes.
the last time.
I think this last time, it's just the holidays, everything
I
messed me all
know
up
it.
and got,
Hey,
yeah,
seasonal depression hits hard. So,
it does. It does. I mean, even what was funny is I actually started getting on vacation when we were in Palm Springs. I was running every day outside, going and running around, doing that, swimming in the pools while we're at the resort, doing everything. And then every single one of us on the trip tested positive for COVID.
oh no.
Like the day we came, well, except for me. I'm the only one who tested negative.
Good.
Everybody else on the trip tested positive, but
Everybody, it's going around right now.
yeah, I still kind of got sick a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what it might have been, I think I was the first one to get sick.
Yep.
And by the time everyone tested, I was already over it.
Okay. Yeah.
But I had, but then there's that lingering for like a week or so
Yep.
after where your body just, ugh.
Yep.
So, and I'm finally just now, like this week, getting over that and getting back to where, like,
Yeah.
okay. And then it didn't help too that the gym that I swim at, they closed the pool for like renovations for a week and a half. And I'm
Ooh.
like, yeah.
Yikes.
So,
Well, here, Boston hasn't seen the sun probably in 2 to 3 weeks. And we have gotten rain almost every single weekend since I think August.
yeah,
So we are
wet.
swimming. We're just drowning right now. We have no sun and nothing but rain. We haven't had snow really in 2 years. Like it is horrible and miserable and I just want sunshine.
I won't say that it was 62 degrees here today, but
I mean, we haven't really had cold.
yeah. It's supposed to snow, not snow, but it's supposed to get really wet again tomorrow. So we had flooding. I'm in the county of Texas too that said, had all the flooding and everything. That was the county I live in. But
Okay.
but it wasn't that bad. But
Okay.
So all right. Well, it's been great talking to you.
Yes,
And
definitely.
we need to definitely do this again sooner. So
Yes,
I
I
will
agree.
talk to you after we're off and we'll get this all settled and get ready for the next one.
Okay, perfect.
All right. We'll talk to you soon.
Yep.
All
Bye.
right. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the BeastNet podcast. If you haven't done it yet, find us on Facebook, like and share the podcast. Give us a review on iTunes or Spotify. All these things will help to expand the show in the future. Don't forget to subscribe and let us know what you think and what you'd like to hear.